What's up, y'all? It's Jeff Cobb, and you're listening to Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show on Social Suplex Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. Listener discretion is advised at all times.
And thank you once again for downloading and listening to another episode of the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, part of the Social Suplex Podcast Network. My name is Clive, and I'm joined by the very handsome, very bespectacled Ricky. How are you tonight, sir? Looking as dapper as ever.
I'm doing alright. Doing well for a Tuesday evening.
Have you done that one where you've styled your hair like that on purpose?
No, I just out the shower and just blew dry my hair, didn't bother doing it. It's not like I'm going anywhere.
You might be going to town on some listeners.
Oh, God. Nah. As I saw the questions all seem quite reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've ended up getting quite a lot, so we'll just cut the chit-chat and get right to it. First of all,
why not?
I get well. Breaking news the last hour or so since we started recording, that Tiger Woods was in a pretty bad car crash. So
I saw that.
Hopefully he's alright. And hopefully it doesn't end up the way the other car crash he was in ended up either.
No. Fingers crossed.
Right. Now you're good at the old Twitter questions, so I'm going to leave this in your capable hands.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, do you want me to do that?
No, I'll do it.
You're some chap.
Right. Hopefully there's a few questions based on what happened on Sunday. Not entirely sure, but we shall get into it. Right, so first question comes from good friend Mags.
Right.
There's a few questions here. So the first one being, what point in wrestling were you closest from walking away and stop watching? And a kind of related point to that was, when were you the most invested in wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
And the final question there is, if you could punch one wrestler in the private area, who and why? I'll let you lead off if you want.
To answer the first question, I would punch Cody Rhodes in the balls in the hope that he becomes sterile and he can't impregnate his wife anymore, and he doesn't take up TV time that could be given to women's tournaments, so that he can have a pyro-laden gender reveal party.
Oh, throwing shade already. I would have to say... I mean, there's quite a few. Jericho, Riddle, Joe Coffey.
All the beasts.
I'm just trying to think of a sort of obscure one for no apparent reason. Nah, nothing immediately springs to mind, if I'm honest.
What about Ty Dillinger?
He doesn't bother me that much, to be honest.
It doesn't bother me. I could just imagine he would look all sorry for himself.
Sure.
So there's another question. The first one there, it was asking, when were you closest to stopping watching? And I did actually stop watching around 2009, but that is a well documented story. So I would say since then, time when I was considering giving it up for a while anyway, was when they started getting all the coronavirus stuff, and it was topped off with the speaking out movement. That first few nights, the first weekend, seemed really, really bad in terms of all those wrestlers that were caught in the act. And I was thinking, how can I keep going with this? how can I keep supporting it? And I thought to myself, well, I was speaking to my wife about it, and they were saying, because the speaking out happened in another place. It was one of the actors from the TV show Expanse had been caught being an arsehole on Skype to women. And I said, would you still want to watch The Expanse? And she was saying, well, it's not fair that we don't support them, the rest of the people who are decent, just because of one arsehole. And I thought, it's a bit cynical thinking of it that way, but I can see where she's coming from. So there are other people that are doing good work in there, wrestlers who are active in the stamping out the speaking out stuff. I remember James Drake and Zach Gibson, Dan Maloney were very, very vocal in it, and Pete Dunne as well. So I went for the motto of these people should still be supported in their way, while happily throwing shade at others. But I'd say round about that time last year, I'm thinking, I don't know if I can go on with this. What about yourself?
I would say maybe around about 05, like 04, 05, or probably 04 through to like 07. That's when Cena was at, Super Cena and kind of just going through everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it was like unbeatable. And I kind of got to the point where I was just like, I'm kind of bored watching this, so what, the same thing over and over again. And yeah, and another time I would say is probably now. I still watch and keep up to date with different programs and companies and stuff, but it's hard at times. Just I don't know what it is. It's like I'm not invested in a lot of things, and I think when I start saying things like only watching things that I enjoy, like rather than watching a full thing, like certain wrestling and stuff, it was never like that. It was always like you would watch Raw and SmackDown, you'd watch NXT and stuff. So obviously this was before AEW came onto the scene, but even at AEW, it's there's only certain things I will watch, and there's certain things I just won't give the time of the day. And I'm just like, I've got no interest in that. I'm not one of these people that hate watch something just to shit on it. It's like that's a waste of my time. So yeah, but now I think it's challenging. Just because, let's say, there's so many different things that you might not like, so it's just like, why? I'm not even going to bother with that.
Aye. My joy for wrestling isn't there as much as it used to be, and it's definitely dwindled down to NXT mainly, and sometimes that kind of drags a bit personally. But I wouldn't say I'm there yet. Obviously we're still doing this podcast, so there's still an obvious interest in some form or fashion in wrestling.
Absolutely.
Watching current stuff, maybe not, but at the Sunday there, when a predictable but still no less satisfying power move happened with Roman Reigns coming out right after the Chamber match, I knew it was going to happen, and it did. Came out, Daniel Bryan with a cheeky reversal of the spear at first. I thought that was excellent, but I kind of knew what was going to happen there with Roman Reigns winning, and Edge coming out and doing the hands behind the back whispering to Roman Reigns in response to Roman Reigns doing it to him during the week. And I was pumped, super pumped watching that, thinking that's what I want to see in my wrestling. Callbacks, just taking things to another level. And because of that, I want to kind of watch SmackDown a bit more properly going into WrestleMania, because I wasn't bothered at all about Edge and Roman Reigns. Maybe it's just because it was unseen, untested. I suppose that's the issue with all of Edge's opponents now. You don't really know what it's going to be like, but the last couple of weeks with Roman and Edge, I am all for it, and I'm going to make a conscious effort to watch some SmackDown going forward. I know we're veering off the question a bit, but the joy is slowly simmering in time for WrestleMania on the way.
I would say probably the first 4 or 5 years of last decade, so 2010 through to 2014, 15ish. I think when you look at a lot of the things that happened during that time, Obviously Brock returning was a pretty big deal. I know we said a lot of negative things, but him coming back was massive. I remember that night, the whole CM Punk, like Summoner Punk, everything that was before it, everything after it, everything that was involved with Daniel Bryan as well, before he had to retire for the first time round. The Shield coming up, and I think like 2015-ish, or round about that time, 2014 through like probably 16 is like when NXT was, like at its absolute best. So I think that was probably my strongest fandom. Obviously outside Attitude era, like I know we were heavily invested in. It was great to watch. But yeah, I would definitely say sort of 2010 through to 15, 16ish.
No, I do enjoy that NXT era that you're talking about, and personally 2018 NXT was excellent. But for me, that specific year, to answer Darren's question, is 2005, where I was the most marked out fella in my street with the wrestling. I love 2005. Edge coming into the main event scene, the whole Edge Matt Hardy story, Batista becoming a big deal, John Cena becoming a big deal. I know that ended up souring not long after that, but got Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, they had a few matches that year. Just so many, the start of the Money in the Bank matches as well. So many fond memories of 2005, and I look back on it very, very fondly. So definitely 2005 is my answer for that one.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on, we got a load from rants.
So
first one was, and we'll try and go through these ones a little quicker. Would you be okay with Brock Lesnar returning if it meant Lashley won the title and defended it against him, presumably at WrestleMania?
Mm-hmm.
But I would be fine with Brock returning even if he didn't challenge Lashley. I would like to see Brock have like a prolonged run without being in the main event scene.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's unlikely, but I definitely would be on board with a Brock return. But let's say I'm not on board with a Brock return to win the title though.
No, same here. I would like Brock back, and I can't believe I'm saying that, considering the infamous Fuck Brock episode we did years ago, and just my general disdain for the chap over the years. But I would have loved to have seen Brock come in round a bits now to take on Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre to get 2-0 over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. With him coming back for Lashley, I think what happened on Sunday night with The Miz, for the last couple of months, we've been thinking, who's Drew McIntyre going to face at WrestleMania? He's went through everyone. He's went through a legend, there's nobody left, and now that field is wide open because of the cash-in. Lashley's floating about, Sheamus, Miz, and Drew McIntyre. So I've not got a clue what's going to happen with the Raw side of the main event scene. If we get Brock versus Bobby Lashley, I'm all for that, especially in the current incarnation that we've got of Lashley, who's doing very well for himself. I think this whole Hurt Business thing has helped his career, his perception, immensely.
Yep. Second question was, how excited are you for Rico Satomura versus Kaylee Ray, and predict the match? I think Kaylee Ray finally drops the belt here.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty damn worthy opponent and women to drop it to. So I'm looking forward to it when it happens. Like I said, it was one of two things really. It's because it's such a great reign, like you wanted to make a star out of it, but at the same time, like, Rico already is a star, and it's just what better way to come in and showcase like how great she is and take that title from Kaylee Ray. And it opens up some fresh matchups, because obviously Kaylee Ray's run out of challengers.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, last year I did a fantasy draft thing for Wrestling Headlines / Lords of Pain, like a fantasy pay-per-view, and this match was actually on my card, Kaylee Ray versus Miko Satomura, and so from that alone I had a backstory for it and everything. I'm more than excited for it. I'm just fucking, this NXT UK mob keep putting on matches that are trying to bring me back in, and I'm not happy with them trying to make me watch their product.
Yep.
But I don't think it will change hands, actually. I think it will be a big statement for Kaylee Ray, and maybe after the fact I don't know what they'll do, but I think bringing Satomura in, the reports were she was coming in for more of a training role, so I don't know, we'll see what happens there. I might be wrong, she might lose the title. It would be credible considering Miko's credence, as it were, in the wrestling world, so it wouldn't be a shock or an upset, but I just don't see it happening yet. But I think I might have to tune in for it, bastards.
No, that's true.
Might watch it illegally just to piss them off.
So moving on, he asks, who would you have beat Finn for the NXT title, when and why?
Oh.
Man. I mean, I think we mentioned it before. We expect Karrion Kross at some point soon to get a shot. Obviously, I'm not sure if there's a takeover at WrestleMania weekend. I would assume there is.
Maybe something floating near it anyway.
And I maybe imagine that's the match that's going to take place then. Anyone else that kind of springs to mind? I'm just trying to think. Obviously, he's faced a good few of them. He's faced a few, and other people are kind of tied up. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole are tied up together. It might be Adam Cole come SummerSlam time. Once him and Kyle O'Reilly thing concludes. That certainly won't be next. I don't obviously see Pete Dunne getting, if he does get another title shot, I don't see him winning that either. I would probably still say Adam Cole, but like I said, I think we both believe it probably will be Karrion Kross.
I'm going to make a bold prediction with this one, and Karrion Kross wins it before the next takeover on TV.
Right.
And Karrion Kross goes on to defend it against someone else at that takeover at Mania. And I say this because there have been many teases of Walter coming over to NXT Florida. The band are getting back together, Imperium, Alexander Wolf's flown over. Walter tweeted out something, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's basically intimating that he misses his pals, and I think he might come over, and I think they might get a wee showcase match against Finn Balor, because they were teasing Finn Balor and Walter last year before all the shit kicked off with coronavirus. If that is a title for title showcase, not so much a winner take all thing, but just a showcase match, maybe Karrion Kross won't win it straight away, but I can see that Walter versus Finn Balor happening at WrestleMania takeover rather than a title match, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I'd love to see that one, definitely.
Okay, also moving forward. Why doesn't Jay White love me? He may well. He both loves Japan more.
It's possible.
He asks, what do you do with the IWGP Heavyweight title? Not sure if it means this upcoming match or not. Well, Naito suffered a knee injury.
What was the upcoming match?
Ibushi
Naito and Ibushi.
on 28th, whenever that is that Sunday? Saturday, Sunday. So he suffered a knee injury, but he's due back. He says on the 25th, Thursday, to take part in the final match of the Road to Castle 21 tour.
Naito.
So obviously,
sake, his knee looked fucked in that gif that we saw.
It really did.
That Josh put up.
So if that's correct, then that match will probably should go ahead unless something happens on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting, like I said, because it looked like a really, really bad one.
Aye, that
like
like
guys in the group were obviously speculating like it could be ACL or something. It's just completely gone and shot to pieces.
Aye, that looked like what's his face? The big Yorkshire guy that fucked his knee on NXT a few months ago.
Ridge Holland.
It looked like one of those jobs.
So yeah, I think that match goes ahead anyway.
Fair enough.
I'm not looked at Forbidden Door questions or anything like that. Like, so I still would love to see Ibushi turn up in AEW and confronting Kenny Omega. I'm not necessarily saying that any titles will be on the line or anything like that. I'm not implying that at all. Because who the hell wins that match? It probably ends, so I'd still love to see that, and I think the visual image of Ibushi coming down with the titles and Kenny Omega having his title, and the story behind that would be pretty damn awesome to see.
Aye, that would be good. I would like to see that.
So he asked why are Grizzled Young Vets the best tag team in God's Green? Well, we've been saying it for a long time. You've said it for a couple of years now that when you talk about some of the best tag teams in the world, they are in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. They've got great moveset. They've got the ability, especially James Green, to kind of fly around the ring. But at the same time, they do the old school classic tag team part so well as well.
It's a perfect.
Their ability to be flexible and just in different and be able to adapt and do different styles. I think very few teams have got that. I think in the world.
You hit the nail on the head there when you said they do the old school tag team wrestling well. Like, that's what we loved about the revival, especially in NXT, where they're sticklers for the rules, but they'll bend them as much as they can. So they know the rules, which makes it much more enjoyable to watch. Watch them not cheat, but just be sneaky. And the Grizzled Young Vets do that, but they've also got that hybrid, the fast moving, high paced, high flying stuff.
Yep.
High flying and high impact, actually, with stuff like the Doomsday Device and Ticket to Ride, Ticket to Mayhem and stuff. So it's a strategy. It's like set pieces that they've got that they pull out of the bag now and again, and it's even set pieces for the offense as well. They're just they're an absolute joy to watch, and I'll drink some champagne the day that they win the NXT tag team titles. So I will.
No, definitely. There's a couple of questions from Rance that I've missed out, but they'll be quite long-winded, but we can maybe come back to them. Rance asks, who's the most interesting wrestler in the world to you right now?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
It's a toss-up between Roman Reigns and Raquel Gonzalez, but Roman Reigns gets enough plaudits these days, so I'm going to go with Raquel Gonzalez. I think she had a really good 2020. She showed excellent promise in I believe there was a ladder match that the women were involved in an NXT takeover.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember exactly what that match was, but there was a ladder match. She had a big blow-off match with Rhea Ripley earlier on in the year, and since War Games she's just looked unstoppable. She's been booked. This is where I think it comes down to, it's a symbiotic relationship between the performer and the employer, because people can get over, but only if your WWE let them. And I think they've done a great job with getting Raquel Gonzalez over. She's in the Dusty Tag Team Classic payoff, whatever you want to call it, reward. She's racked up a hefty amount of W's. She looks dominant, she looks strong, she's got decent mic skills, as we saw last week, a couple of weeks ago maybe. Io Shirai has went through many of the women, almost all of them now. So who's left but Raquel Gonzalez? So I'm looking forward to the day that showdown happens. I think Raquel Gonzalez has come on leaps and bounds, and she's a joy to watch at the moment.
There's a few that spring to mind. Roman, obviously, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Intriguing. I find Bianca really intriguing, like moving forward, like her match coming into WrestleMania, and what they do with it, and if they do pull the trigger like fully with her. I would probably throw in I'm intrigued by Rhea Ripley and see how they're going to handle her on Raw. Sammy Guevara and the whole Inner Circle thing. I'm looking forward to see how this plays out over the coming weeks as well. Obviously Omega and everything he's been doing, but Ibushi as well is right at the top, just because I find that part, if this Forbidden Door and whether or not like all the big guns are in play to move out, like come and go, etc., and appear on shows, like I just find Ibushi and Omega just so appealing and intriguing, because like I said, the history and the storyline I get. Okada and Omega had all those great matches as well, but just for me personally, I think the visual of both of those guys standing around with the titles over their shoulders, and no doubt the AEW commentary team will really hone in and dig into that past and really tell you the story behind it for anyone that isn't aware of it.
Don Callis will be there to help it along very nicely as well.
Yep, so I'm really looking forward to it. So that's one of I think that may be at the top of the list, if I'm honest, just like in terms of intrigue, just because I really wish that would happen. Yes, book Bo Dallas's return to WWE. I mean, I don't know if I would, if I'm honest. I mean, I'm all for bringing Bo back and putting him alongside Bray Wyatt and let Bray Wyatt become cult leader Bray Wyatt again.
Even if they were to bring him back under the umbrella of the whole Fiend stuff, I know. Nah,
I'm not a fan of the Fiend stuff, so I would rather just get rid of it.
Neither am I, but the Rance is asking us to bring back someone that I care little for, so that'll do. He can be a character. And see the outrage that happened when people realised that Bo Dallas, they've got nothing for him. Where have you been for the last...
Bo Dallas did what, sorry?
I think it might have been Meltzer that said, yep, WWE don't have anything for Bo Dallas right now. It's like, no shit, Sherlock.
Have they ever? I mean, they had the stuff with the B team, which was pretty funny stuff. But really, never have. Like, I actually wouldn't be against him coming back to NXT either.
No? Is he... I believe he's winching Liv Morgan, so he's obviously...
Oh, is he?
Aye.
Oh, well, there's no point in coming back then.
I think he's quite happy doing what he's doing. But honestly, like, why all the outrage? This is... never mind.
Yep. Right, so we'll move on. Murray and Imp kind of ask similar type questions, so we'll try and tie them two in together. But Murray's first question is, what is your usual Tesco £3 meal deal? Murray works in Tesco. Murray, sorry to break it to you, right, but I don't go into Tesco. I'm too good for a £3 lunchtime meal deal.
Listen to this fella. I don't shop in Tesco because it's blue and white, that's why.
Blue, white and red?
Red, white and blue.
But Murray also asks...
I've actually got an answer for that, to be honest with you.
Alright, on you go.
Savoury cheese or cheese and onion sandwich. a packet of salt and vinegar Golden Wonder and a bottle of Pepsi Max.
Interesting.
Or one of the fry-up sandwiches. Now you get the fry-up stuff.
Oh, yes.
Delightful.
So Murray asks if you could be any style of wrestler, grappler, powerhouse, high flyer, etc. Murray's for him is submission based. What would you be, and what would the name of the Scottish Suplex? Scottish Social Suplex Trio name be? I could be any wrestler. It's any type of wrestler. It's the man that I regard as the greatest ever. Bret Hart.
So a grappler.
Yep, grappler, but mixed in with some with submissions as well. Bret Hart. I think the highest he was off the ground was when he went up on the second turnbuckle and would come off with a kind of elbow as well. Bret Hart, give me that technical / grappler / submission. Like, I don't need to fly off the top rope or do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I would like a hybrid between grappler and powerhouse. So
Brock.
Well, Brock, I was thinking a mishmash of Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler.
Right.
Like that brawler, the brawling style with the big suplexes, but I can still knock out a good wee armbar now and again.
Yeah.
Aye.
Speaking of Brock.
Fuck Brock.
Listen, I think there's an argument to be made that he is the greatest of all time.
Oh, here we go again. This guy.
Like, legitimately. Like, I think we got so consumed and caught up in the whole Suplex City thing and all that stuff and how his matches go now, but I think you kind of need to go back to his first run and realise that this was a guy who was a powerhouse but yet was so athletic, and I think like he legitimately could have any type of match. Like, it's not so much disappointing that the way they went with him, but they could have done so much more. But I get why he was booked the way he was booked. But man, he could put out a 25-minute 5-star banger at any time he really wanted to. I think it's just a case of whether he wants to or not. If you know what I mean.
Oh, 5-star banger! That's brilliant. Can we change our podcast name to that?
5-star banger. In terms of the name for the three of us, Murray, there's 2 other Scotsmen on Social Suplex. Floyd is 3% Scottish, and Caleb has some Scottish roots in his history as well.
Yep.
So we need to be a 5-man team. But in terms of the three of us, I'm not sure. Have you got a name?
Well, if we're doing 5, we could be the Vody Squad, like Spirit Squad.
Well, what about the 3?
Let me think. I'm stealing this for Grado's podcast that he does, but chips, cheese and doner meat.
Chips, cheese and doner meat.
Or go for rolling sausage and potato scone.
Deep fried Mars bars and iron brew.
Never had the deep fried Mars bars. I've never seen it in any chippy. I think it's a
heart attack material, but they were excellent back in the day.
Oh, did you had one?
If you really want to get definitely. If you really want to get like patriotic, you could go along something along the lines like Wallace's Soldiers or something along those lines, or FTE if you wanted.
Hold on a minute.
Really, the 3 three of us are a reverse Oreo. That's what we are, really.
I'm trying to think. What would this... Men of Sturgeon?
That's it. Although I'm unsure of Murray's political views, though.
Fuck Murray's political views.
Right, so the last question before... I'm assuming we probably want to hit on some of the stuff that took place in the chamber. But Imp's first part of his question is, Ricky, how's the new Japan adventure going? Sad face for Hiromu, who is it 6 months, I believe it was, he's going to be out for, which is kind of crap. In terms of a new Japan adventure, see the great thing about it is I may not watch every match, but I do that for a reason, because I don't want to become hooked to the point where I'm like, where not so much that I care too much, but to the point where I'm like, I don't want to start nitpicking and stuff. I just want to enjoy watching good wrestling. So I will watch and I'll keep up to date, but like I said, I make a point of not watching every single match every single week all the time. Don't get me wrong, like G1's going to come up in the next few months and every single match will be watched. So in terms of keeping up to it, I'm there and watching it, yep. But like I say, I just don't want to get myself emotionally involved in it and invested and just start nitpicking and be like, I don't like this, what are you doing, why this, why that, and just kind of start to hate on things. And I know that's kind of like head in the sand type view, but you know, I just want to enjoy watching something without, like I say, just being negative about it and just being like, well, I'm just going to focus on that and I like it.
Right.
I just saw a bit of breaking news popping up there, and this is legit. Police sources are saying that Tiger Woods' injuries are not thought to be life-threatening. That's good.
It's good to hear, yeah. Breaking news here on the Ricky and Clive golf show.
Right, so Imp asks, in your opinions, has WWE done a good job with WrestleMania build so far? And in brackets, given it's 2 nights, I'm a tad fearful what to fill it with, but I'm in, and in was in capital letters, on those main events. And Murray asked, what are your guys' predictions for every title match at Mania and who faces who?
Oh, trying to remember what all the bloody title matches are.
Right, so Roman and Edge have been confirmed.
Yep, and I think that's the only one that's had a really obvious build. So
yep. And Imp asks, he's in on those main events. I don't know if he thinks it's going to be Lashley and Drew.
Well, I'd said that on this podcast a few weeks ago. I'd be more than happy with that for the Mania main event for Raw's side.
Unless it's Bianca and Sasha he's referring to as well.
That's
so
I would fucking put that last Sunday night.
I said that. Yep, I said that should close one of the nights. Right, so if we go through it, so this would be my predictions, and then we can dig into it a bit. So I think Lashley versus Drew. Roman versus Edge. Bianca versus Sasha. Asuka versus Charlotte. We kind of got not so much confirmation of that last night, but I think we're certainly got the first. Right, that's what they're going to go with.
It's going to
after Charlotte hit Asuka and they lost the match and Vettel hit her, and then Charlotte tried to help her up, but Asuka wasn't interested. You then move on to probably going to be Riddle. I think it'll probably be Riddle and Keith Lee. I don't know how bad Keith Lee's injury is, so let's just assume he's back. And then we've got, I don't think we'll go Big E and Apollo. I think that'll probably either happen on SmackDown or the next pay-per-view, which is that Payback. Is it Payback? And then I could maybe see them going. Here's a curveball: Big E versus Seth.
Right.
Tag titles. We're looking at Shayna and Nia Jax taking on. I'm not entirely sure who they would be taking on. I'm not sure. Got the men's.
Not a clue about the women's tag team division at the moment.
And then the men's. I'm not entirely sure we go with that either.
Hurt Business still the tag champs? Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know where you go with it. New Day would be a bit too obvious. No, I'm not sure where you go with that. But that would be my predictions. And in terms of build, like I said, Roman and Edge are the only one we've really started to see. Sasha and Bianca kind of, because obviously they teamed up and then they lost the match, etc. So I'm sure they'll continue that. Asuka and Charlotte kind of started last night. But I've come to kind of accept when it comes to WrestleMania, there's going to be matches are just thrown in there because they've got a habit of throwing everyone on the card, and there's going to be matches like some sort of celebrity involvement. I've just kind of come to accept it. And just, I've always been like, if I can get like 4 or 5 matches on the card that I'm really invested in, I think I will be. So I'm hopeful the build will be good. So yeah, those are my predictions.
So Roman Edge, Sasha Bianca, Drew. I'll double down on Drew and Lashley because I think Miz will have stuff going on with Bad Bunny, unless that's for the unification of the 24/7. Imagine it ended up the WWE Championship became 24/7. So Drew and Lashley and Sheamus, actually, triple threat match. Let me think. No clue for the women's tag team. No clue for any of the tag teams, actually. I don't know who the current SmackDown tag champs are. Who is it?
Oh, that is not good. It's thingy. Robert Roode and what's his face?
Dolph Ziggler?
Yep.
Fucking hell, when did Robert Roode come back?
Oh, wow. It's been a while, I think.
Right, are they faces or heels?
Heels.
Right, so that takes out the possible Alpha Academy. See, how do I know about Alpha Academy and I don't know about Robert Roode being back? Alpha Academy versus Roode and Ziggler. What a random pair of tag teams that is. Hurt Business versus fuck knows. Keith Lee versus Matt Riddle. Hoping Matt Riddle loses the title before then. IC title, now that's a tricky one. I think you've got Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Cesaro. They're all floating about each other and they've all had dealings with Roman Reigns, so I think that might be your multi-man ladder match for the IC title.
I'm going to say there will be a multi-man, that one could be it.
Yep, that makes sense. Any other titles that I'm missing? Don't think there is.
Nah.
Okay.
That says we'll start doing an idea over the next coming weeks.
Aye.
But that also leads us to what took place on Sunday night.
Well, there is one more question, and it's a pertinent one from Andrew Ballas, the IWC World Chief. What if God was one of us? Would he be a slob like one of us? Do you remember this reference?
Yes.
I think my answer to that would be he would probably just be a stranger on the bus trying to make his way home, Andrew.
Oh.
I enjoyed that question. I've not heard that song in years, so thank you very much for that.
Alright, here we go. I don't. The SmackDown Elimination Chamber match. I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match. I liked Kevin Owens' introduction to it and how Sammy grabs him and tries to. I was hoping there was some sort of interaction going to and KO just kind of destroys him. Yeah, I mean, it was predictable, obviously, how the second match was going to go. Roman comes out and just kind of does a job, and that's it, done. But obviously, the big thing was Edge coming back, or Edge coming out and hitting Roman with a spear.
Mm-hmm.
The beautiful thing about that, and I don't know if you would have noticed it, is Roman's celebrating. Paul Heyman leaves the ring, and Heyman's got his back turned as Edge makes an appearance, and Heyman only turns around as Edge hits the spear. So it's like little wee small things like that mean a lot, just because it'd been like Heyman was like, I couldn't see him, like I wasn't looking at my back turned kind of thing, just in case Roman starts, questioning what Heyman was doing. It's just small little things, so he couldn't even warn them or anything.
It's so masterfully told, the whole lot. And I hadn't seen this, but apparently Edge looked at the Universal title and shook his head. Did he? Aye, now he's quite synonymous with the big gold plate.
Well, that was the other thing, like, I saw that tweet a while ago, there's people, and I assume it was like, what if Edge returned and won it and took this belt, and I thought, that's well cool, I love that belt. It's a good idea, and don't get me wrong, like, Edge versus Roman makes the most sense, because that was Edge's show, Roman's on it, he's coming back because he wants to claim his spot on his show. It continually says, like, the problem isn't that Edge is back as a full-time guy, they get that. Edge isn't back for a last payday, the guy had an injury that cut his career short, so he's legitimately back because he wants to be there. Just can't trust he's going to make it to WrestleMania.
I know. He's been looking
even if
good.
He does make it to WrestleMania, we just don't know when his next injury is going to be. Like, we get injuries are part and parcel of it, but he, even before returning here, had a lot of injuries.
He's made of glass.
So, that's the problem. And is Vince really going to take the titles off Roman and Drew in the space of 6 weeks? I just can't see Edge not winning. It's disappointing, because that, I don't want to say it a lot, right, but this was so true. Like, Roman's been such a horrible person, like, he's upset so many people, been doing what he wants to do. He kind of needs his comeuppance, but you wanted it to be someone that could get that rub and would really elevate that person. Edge doesn't need that.
He doesn't. That's a good point. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still enjoying what I'm seeing, but Edge doesn't need that. Well, I imagine personally he would like that to fulfil some lost journey that he was on 3 years ago. Fair enough. But personally, like, there are other guys I would like to see get the rub.
Yep. Yeah. I don't want to sit and talk about too much on Chamber, because I thought like the two big moments was obviously Edge, Roman being confirmed, and then the cash in.
Well, before that, I just want to touch on two things that I really liked about the first Chamber match, because personally I thought the rest of the card, in fact, it was a pretty mediocre affair all night long, to be honest with you. It never really got out of third gear. But I could watch Sami Zayn half and half suplex Kevin Owens on repeat for hours.
I'm ready for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn again.
So am I.
Whether it's matches or whether they're back together.
Oh, so am I. And a big
I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that again.
But the other shout out goes to Jey Uso, because him trapping the Kevin Owens' arm in the chamber, that's so beautifully done, so precise timing, and it just ties in with the whole thing going on between Kevin Owens and Jey Uso and Roman Reigns the last few months. Really liked that spot particularly. But the half and half suplexes, give me them all day long.
You know, the one thing I will say, right, I think everything Roman's has been great. The one thing that I wouldn't say bothered me, but I would have liked to have seen is when he made his entrance, I would have liked to have seen him walking down to the ring with a purpose and intent and just like an urgency, because he slowly took his time getting into the ring, how he does. But it just kind of took me back to when Kofi was in that gauntlet match, and then like you've got one more, and Daniel Bryan's music hit, and Daniel Bryan came like marching down, and even when it was the New Day had done their gauntlet match, and you saw it, Daniel Bryan came marching down past Uso and stuff. And it was like, I'd like to see that, like Daniel Bryan like smirking his face and like was walking down with purpose, like and getting there in quickest time, and it'd been like, yeah, I'm not letting you catch your breath here. I'm coming down to F you up and get this over and done with quick. So I would have liked to have seen that from Roman.
That reversal into the armbar from the spear. Oh,
I mean, folks, no one can now complain that we didn't get a Roman Reigns Daniel Bryan match.
and guess what? Roman Reigns is 2-0 against Daniel Bryan.
I really wanted this at WrestleMania.
I know.
I thought I wanted a Seth match. Man, it sucks. The other one being Miz cashing in. About 4 years late. Look, I am not on board for making title changes for the sake of making a title change. I says Randy Orton beating Drew McIntyre when he did just reeked of we just want to give Orton another one. And I don't know if this was for whatever reason wanted to get the title off Roman or off Drew, or you felt like you wanted to somehow position Drew versus Bobby Lashley for Mania, and this is the way you go about doing it. I don't know, right? I'm not keen on Miz winning it. Like, I'm like, don't get me wrong, like he deserves it. He should have got it years ago, and he busted it. I get all that, I really do. I want him to go back to, as you would always say, like that horrible kind of heel. But I'm not here for a Miz title reign, and I think what's going to make it worse is if he does lose it to Bobby Lashley next week. And I just like, what's the point? And I know it's probably so we can lead to Roman versus Bobby, but at WrestleMania, and let's just say Bobby beats Drew at WrestleMania. Sorry, I said Bobby versus Roman. Bobby versus Drew, and let's say Bobby Lashley beats Drew McIntyre. Well, wouldn't it be a bigger deal if Bobby beat him to win the title rather than just retain it?
I personally thought it would have made more sense for Bobby Lashley to attack The Miz beforehand and say, give me that fucking briefcase right now or I will knock your veneers down your throat.
But what they've done after it on Raw, it's like the agreement was there, like you say, as you promised, now I'm calling in mine. Mm-hmm. Now I was told I was getting a title shot and I'm taking it now. Okay,
fair enough. Yeah.
And the great thing was, that moment MVP, and I've saw it several times with MVP telling Drew McIntyre months and months ago that I will personally be responsible for you losing that title, and it's like fantastic, like honestly fantastic. I'm not saying that this was planned all along or whatnot, but it's just worked out. That was fantastic storytelling there. But you could have gone to Bobby versus Drew another way. Hell, we didn't even get to see Drew versus Sheamus for the title 1-on-1.
See,
that's a tailor-made story right there leading up to WrestleMania. So much history, like everything's there for it,
and it's been gathering legs as well.
What we say is that just because something might seem simple and slapping in the face, and sometimes that is the best option. Mm-hmm. There's no need to further complicate things. So yeah,
right. A few points on it. First of all, it's just not a bold prediction, but a theory. WrestleMania is 2 nights, and as our friend Imp said, how are they going to fill it? Is it possible that they have Miz Miz's match. They probably want to have a lot of build for it. They have Miz's match on the Saturday. There's shenanigans, and then they have a Drew versus whoever on the Sunday. That's a possibility. I think from a business side of things, it would be quite positive PR for Bad Bunny to be feuding with the current WWE champion. So you've got the WWE champion, Bad Bunny's a champ as well just now, so from the sort of business, stock, YouTube views, all that stuff, ratings, social media interaction, you know what I mean.
It makes that would make sense.
That makes sense. There's still plenty of time. I can't see that alone tells me that Miz will be more involved with Bad Bunny at WrestleMania once all is said and done. The way it happened, I can accept fully, because it wasn't just the Miz coming down. I don't think the Miz is a match for Drew McIntyre, even after a chamber. But Bobby Lashley certainly is a match for Drew McIntyre. So I can buy that, the sort of logistics side of thing. I'm obviously annoyed that one of my bays, Drew McIntyre, lost the title. I don't think it's all said and done here. But the last thing, and the outcry that I've seen, limited, but I've seen a lot of people crying. Not crying, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, if they've never seen a Road to WrestleMania before, this shit happens all the time in February and March. Look at
it's not even that, but it's just like, why are we taking the title off Drew?
I think it's just we're being worked. Like,
to what? To get a few extra views with the Bad Bunny Miz thing?
No, we're being worked so that whenever someone else gets the title, it's a relief moment, which happens at WrestleMania, the big sigh of relief or the jubilation.
But this is what my problem is, right? And I've saw tweets, people saying you're supposed to be pissed off Miz won it. I'm not peed off that Roman's champ. I'm not peed off that Kenny Omega's champ. I wasn't peed off when Ciampa was a champ. I wasn't peed off when Seth Rollins was a champ. So please stop with that BS that, you're a heel, you're supposed to hate him. I get it. I hated Seth's character because, because he was not a nice character. That's fine. I love watching Seth as a champ. Roman as a character isn't nice, but I love watching Roman as a champ. That argument and that statement makes zero sense. The reason why people are peed off is because at no point does Miz want it. Miz got the Money in the Bank based on the fact that they made a mistake with Otis getting it right. Miz isn't very good in the ring, so that's why people are peed off. Now, if you put the title on Bobby Lashley, people aren't going to be that peed off, because do you know what? Dude can actually wrestle. MVP is a mouthpiece. Alright, cool. We're putting all the gold back on the Hurt Business. I'm on board. So that argument about not liking Miz being champ because he's a heel, or I understand what you're saying, a relief moment. Yes, a relief moment was when let me see, someone like Daniel Bryan got beat by Kofi Kingston and finally got his comeuppance. A relief moment that you got your comeuppance, and it doubly better. We love Kofi. The relief moment from this will come from, thank God you've taken the title off Miz. Now can we get back to being serious, please?
All I can say to that is, I don't agree with you, but I've not really got the gumption to. I can't. I can't be bothered. No, I don't agree, but I've not really. I can't find fault in your opinion on it, your argument. So I'm in a quandary. I know he is supposed to piss people off, and if you are, if you don't want to be pissed off by heels or whatever, I get it. I can't be bothered arguing at that point with you.
I know. We'll move forward to the quiz, and we can address this next week, because who knows what that's going to happen in that title match.
Aye. Well, what I was
I can
thinking,
see Drew coming down and like cause a disruption or something.
Aye. See, that's the thing. It's one of those gut reactions, and I think, okay, people are pissed off, but it was one night, literally one night, and I know you don't like the argument that you're not supposed to like the heel, but we are supporters of the argument of let's see how it pans out. So, let's see how it pans out.
We are, but sometimes we don't need to, because this is where I differ from people. I couldn't care less about Bad Bunny interactions. I couldn't care less about how entertaining someone is, like, because at the end of the day, you can say what you want. You can say you're an entertainment company. I mean, you can dress like, you can. What's the saying? If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Well, if you're wrestling and you've got matches, you can paint yourself to be a sports entertainment company or whatever, but at the end of the day, yeah, the premise of your company is wrestling. And that's just the way that's the way I look at it. And I'm not looking at it from a business point of view, because why the hell should I? Because I don't need to. That's not my job. My job is to enjoy what's happening in front of me, and I don't enjoy watching mediocrity in that ring.
I mean, I couldn't care less about Bad Bunny either. Like, I'm not interested in the Miz Bad Bunny stuff. I like that Damien Priest has had a pretty visible start to his career in the main roster. I think that's been a benefit from it all. I don't care about that shit. It's just trying to explain why they're doing the business side of things. But
I will never argue. And just the same way, like, I didn't like Goldberg Drew, but I didn't like it because I genuinely thought Goldberg was going to win. But I never argued the validity of Vance's argument that night, where he was saying, well, Drew Goldberg, regardless of what people want to say, is still a name that you can add to it. And I was like, I don't have a retort to that, because there is none. And I was like, I accept that argument. Like, that's perfectly fine. I just don't like it, because I don't like Drew Goldberg. Just the way it's been presented and the way you thought it was going to go. It's the same here. Like, I understand when it's a business. I get it. I get having a title on Miz and then having it in action Bad Bunny will help drive stuff up. I will never argue against that. Mm-hmm. My thing is, and I personally, and that's what I always say, personally, I don't like it.
Yep.
And it has hit me for my toys at the Pananism. Like, I know not everyone's going to cater to us and other people and all that, but I'm just, I'm just telling you personally, I don't like this just because of wider audience, or some people might like it and they've got a target and they've got an idea what they're doing. I'm just personally not involved. Like, I just personally don't like it.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
So we'll see what happens. Like I says, we always preach, let's just wait and see. I even say it when Jinder Mahal won the title. Well, let's just wait and see. They're throwing stuff to the wall, see what's going to stick. Let's see what happens. But
nothing stuck.
If it's a short reign, and it ultimately leads to Bobby versus Root at WrestleMania, I'm going to be like, there are other ways to get there.
There were other ways to get there.
I'm happy to move on to the quiz if you are.
Just one more thing. 2 more things. Remember the shenanigans that Kofi went through, that Daniel Bryan went through in the Yes Movement, and Becky, Ronda and Charlotte? Well, it was all over the place, but the happy story happened at the end. We'll leave it there. The second,
I know, but what is the happy story here that Drew gets his title back?
Aye. In front of
that's an unnecessary
fans.
Story that's being told.
Okay, I can accept. I can respect that.
Because Kofi getting his happy ending made sense. Daniel Bryan getting it made sense. Becky, so whatever. Like, I didn't really like. I always, didn't have an issue with Charlotte being added to, because there was still a story there. But the other two especially, they were destined and meant to happen, and it wasn't unnecessary. This just feels unnecessary.
Okay. The other thing I was going to bring up before the quiz, there's a couple of questions here for answer that we didn't answer, but I thought that one of them would actually be quite a good topic for a podcast overall, if you want to do that next week.
Yeah, it's fine, we can do that.
Right, we'll keep it a surprise for the listeners, just not rants. Right, quiz time. Okay.
Yep.
I've got a quiz, 10 questions on The Miz for you. Your best pal. So I don't know how many points there are off the top of my head, but I'll let you know as we go on, okay?
Yep.
Number 1. How many The Marine films has The Miz starred in?
2.
I'll give you another guess.
3.
No, the answer's 4.
Right, okay.
Who was The Miz's partner in the Mixed Match Challenge?
Asuka.
Correct. And there were 2 Mixed Match Challenge.
Wait, is this legit a Miz quiz?
Aye. He's a talker of water coolers.
That's it.
So Asuka and Miz won the first Mixed Match Challenge. They lost in the semi-finals in the second Mixed Match Challenge to which eventual winners?
Can't remember. Braun and Alexa?
Nope. I'll give you a clue.
Why not?
The Miz was once a tag partner with this person.
Which one's a tag partner?
Quite a controversial tag team.
Truth?
Correct. So
Carmella?
that's it. Give you 2 points for that one. So you've got 3 points so far. This is another 2-pointer. This is not Miz's only mixed tag outing. What other match did he have a mixed tag match? And can you name the pay-per-view?
WrestleMania, Cena, Nikki Bella, and Maurice.
There you go. There was actually another one as well. There was Maurice, him and Maurice versus the Danielsons as well.
That's right.
Well done though, you got your 2 points there. So if you tally up all his singles titles wins, how many has he had?
Um, 11.
Oh, so close. I thought you were good at maths.
Well, I mean, I don't know his reigns. I know he's a 2-time Grand Slam champion.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 6 there. I couldn't tell you how many times he's won the Intercontinental or US title either.
Right, the answer was 12.
Okay.
2 World, 2 US, and 8 IC.
Jeez, what?
I know.
Is that a lot?
I know.
It's a lot of IC titles.
Now he's been a tag champion with 4 different partners. He's been a tag champ more times than 4 times, but he's had 4 different tag team partners. Can you name them? A point
All
for each.
4?
You don't have to name them, but you get a point for each one you name.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. I genuinely struggling to remember his tag title reigns. I would assume Morrison's been probably one of them.
Yep, correct.
Truth?
No, actually.
Surprising.
I know.
Sandow.
Correct.
I couldn't tell you the others at all.
Big Show,
Oh, right, okay.
Showmiz, and Shane McMahon. And that fucking awful story with Shane McMahon. Oh, I hated that so much. You're on 7 points so far, not bad. Number 7, The Miz was runner-up in Tough Enough 4. Who is the winner of that Tough Enough? And I will help you with a clue here. This person was involved in a shoot submission controversy with Kurt Angle.
Oh, what's your name? The bald guy. Oh.
You obviously remember the incident.
Yes. Daniel Puder.
Well done. 8 points. Who did The Miz successfully cash in on the first time he won the WWE title?
Cena?
No.
Oh no, I'm thinking The Rock at WrestleMania. Oh man.
This person had just successfully defended it against Wade Barrett.
I can't even think.
Do you want a clue? Another one?
Go for it.
This person was in a few main events in 2020 pay-per-views.
Oh, Randall.
Randall Keith, that's right. You're on 9 points. Impressive. You obviously like The Miz. Number 9. What year did The Miz first win the IC title?
I don't have an issue with Miz whatsoever.
I know you don't. I'm just winding you up.
I actually like.
Your text on Monday morning suggested otherwise. That's why I'm winding you up.
I was annoyed about the way they went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Intercontinental.
Aye, multiple choice. First time he became the IC champ, was it 08, 10 or 12?
I know it wasn't 08. I'll go 12.
Oh, go! You were correct. Well done.
Thanks.
Do you know that's quite shocking?
Because I think he won the US title before.
Aye.
He won the title and the world title one. That was like 2010, so I can't imagine which. Yeah.
Do you not think that's quite surprising that 2012, considering how many
and
times
he's won it 8 times since.
So you have 10 points. You could get a total of 15. So this last one's a 5-pointer.
God.
The Miz won the IC title of Zack Ryder, the Raw after WrestleMania 32, the one that Ryder won in the ladder match.
Yep.
Name the other 5 wrestlers in that match that weren't The Miz and Zack Ryder.
In the WrestleMania match?
WrestleMania 32 IC title ladder match.
Right, hold on. Oh, God. I can see you, buddy. Oh, Riley's buddy. It's my stupid face sitting at the top of it.
I know. That's right, that was funny as fuck. I was absolutely raging that Zack Ryder won that.
Christ. Kofi?
Nope.
God. can't even think.
You've got no clue, have you?
I don't think so.
One of them is no longer with the company.
Cody?
Correct.
$32, right, that was what? 5 years ago?
2016.
Sammy?
Correct.
I think Jeff Hardy was coming in, I think.
No, he was... I'm not going to say.
Nah, I can't think who else it was.
Right, I'll give you the 2 points then. Kevin Owens,
Right.
Dolph Ziggler, and Sin Cara.
Uh,
What a random one that is.
uh,
Do you remember that Lucha Dragons, Usos and New Day ladder match?
Yep. Yes, one of those died.
Yeah, that was one of the most ridiculous spots I've ever seen in my life.
That was excellent. That was.
So 12 points out of a few. I can't be bothered doing the percent tonight. But you did well. You did well.
Thanks.
And I hope you all did well listening along. What a shite segue. I'll just do the plug. Fuck the segue.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, part of the Social Suplex Podcast Network, where you can find other shows such as One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, Grown Men Watch This Shit, 8-Bit Suplex Podcast, Grave Consequences, Great Match Generator, and All Things Elite. Give us a 5-star review on the podcast app of your choice. Help us with the algorithms. You can also get the podcasts at socialsuplex.com. If you press the subscribe button, you can get those and the columns sent directly to your email inbox. And click the show notes, you'll see how you can donate to the show, whether it's to the network as a whole or to us who are looking for webcams and sound cards and a new pair of jeans and stuff like that.
Just looking for an extra income, really, folks.
Aye, basically, we're just use money. There's also ProWrestlingTees.net link is in there as well, nice and handy for you, just to go straight to the page. We're at the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. We are at it in general, and we are at Ricky and Clive on the Twitter. I've not done a Twitter wanker of the week for a while, so
Might do that next week.
Just a whole episode of it.
Along with our jokes.
Oh, we forgot them.
I know, it's just that he started off with Tiger Woods thing, and I was like, right, that's a bit somber, so let's not crack any jokes.
Well, I did hit out with a Tiger Woods jokes right after it.
I know he did.
I just hope that if he's... Oh, fuck, I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Oh no. Oh no.
I just hope that if Tiger Woods' injury was life-threatening, that he's got his affairs in order.
Oh, it's terrible.
I know.
That's not nice.
I know, that's shocking, isn't it? That was a bit rough, that one.
Oh God.
Right, that'll do. Just
Yep.
the whole show's a bogey now. Fuck it.
I mean, to be fair, it was kind of par up until that point anyway.
It's just the kind of hazard that you end up dealing with, isn't it?
That's it. It's kind of, sometimes it's a water hazard.
I know. I wonder how bad the injury is. He's going to end up looking like he's got a dog leg as well. Was he the driver or was he the three-wood?
Oh. Fucking hell.
It's not a
Poor
very.
Tiger.
It's not a very fair way to end the show, is it? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, God, we've well and truly bunkered ourselves here.
Aye, that's us down to a T.
Oh, God. What can we after 3? Oh, man.
Right, that'll do.
Aye, we really should. Take care, Tiger.
All the best, Tiger. Right, see you later, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Podcast. We'll see you next time.